After receiving backlash over her failed popcorn launch campaign, Charli D'Amelio is once again stirring up a storm. And this time, it's not about her failed popcorn launch, but a full-on celebrity showdown with none other than her long-term rival, the one and only Trisha Paytas. Something is always going down in the world of influencers. I hope you've stocked up on your Damelio popcorn because trust me, you're gonna need it. Anyways, guys, without wasting time, let's get into this. Now, we all know the Damelios have been making headlines recently, and it's not because their popcorn line is popping off the shelves. No, it's about how they decided to handle their snack campaign at Walmart. They dressed up like Walmart employees, playing around the store while stocking their Be Happy snack line with popcorn as their first product. And you guys, the internet exploded with backlash because it seems like people are fed up with the whole ultra rich pretending to be just like us gig. It's not like the Damelios lack money to hire a good PR team, so it beats logic why they thought this would be a grand idea to fake a normal life to connect with regular folks while pushing their new snacks. If you ask me, I don't think what they did was that bad. Celebrities do it all the time, including Trisha Paytas that we're about to talk about in a few. The issue is that people are currently super frustrated with their jobs or just life in general because the whole worldwide economy has never been the same since COVID. So while the Damelios were out here pretending to be normal folks, it felt like laughing in other people's faces. Actually, most of the comments were like this. I just got sent home from my cashier job at Walmart for having a breakdown on the register because I was exhausted. Glad she's having fun though. Imagine walking into your 12-hour shift to feed your family while living paycheck to paycheck, and this girl is cosplaying poverty in your lane. You can already tell how badly the Damelios wanted this nightmare behind them, which brings us to the next chapter of the story. So shortly after this popcorn parade, Charli D'Amelio was hosted on the Jay Shetty podcast. And what better time to give people something else to talk about other than their failed snack campaign? And that's exactly what Charli D'Amelio did. She called out Trisha for being on her case too much in the past. Like any slight thing Charli and her sister did would always end up on Trisha's desk. And the next thing you'd hear is, "Hi guys, so I recently came across this video about Charli." I mean, the way Charli D'Amelio puts it, Trisha was studying her too keenly. You'd think she'd graduate. Now, in case you didn't know this, a few years ago, Trisha Paytas was a lot more controversial than she is right now, since she wasn't afraid to talk about certain problematic topics and people, so like you can already tell she's ruffled so many feathers. Maybe it's a passing wave of youth, or maybe Trisha just liked drawing clout to herself. Alright, moving on, Trisha and Charli were really at it this time because this was around the period Charli D'Amelio was taking off on TikTok, so naturally people like Trisha always had something to say about her. Let's start with where all the drama began, which was the incident when Charli, her sister Dixie, and their parents and James Charles were having dinner, and the food had been made by a personal chef who was also there with them. Unfortunately, the girls didn't like the food and said it was something they weren't used to. The truth is, we've been in such situations where someone offers you food, but it just doesn't taste like you expected. The problem wasn't the food, but how the girls reacted. It was so clear that they didn't like it, with Dixie even throwing up. To make matters worse, they did this in front of the chef, which honestly was such an insult.
There's a chef making them food. They're being really disrespectful, just spitting out the food. And they're 19, they're young, but I do think since they are role models on such a big platform, they should be called out.
Trisha faulted the girls for such a demeaning gesture, calling them ungrateful and bratty, and even added that they needed to act right online now that so many impressionable kids were looking up to them as role models. Instead of the girls apologizing, they just made excuses and moved on. Dixie, for instance, said that her team knew she threw up easily whenever she eats something strange, which is exactly what happened when she tasted that during the dinner. Trisha didn't back down at all. She responded to Dixie saying that if that was the case, then Dixie should fire her current team and work with people who wouldn't put her in the spotlight like that again.
Okay, so this is coming as constructive criticism and not hate whatsoever. This was not an apology, girl. This was not a sincere apology. You're making excuses after excuses after excuses. And you are 19, so you're a legal adult. Charli's a minor, so it's a little different. But she is saying in this clip that her team knows that she'll puke at anything, at the smell of anything. If that's the case, why set her up in this situation with a professional chef in a home getting a private meal cooked? Are they setting her up for a sabotage? Do they want to make her look bratty? Do they want her make hated? Was this all a PR stunt just to get more views and followers to her?
I don't know about y'all, but this isn't bad advice because that private dinner situation was super disrespectful. They shouldn't have posted it in the first place. At this point, the back and forth between Trisha and the girls had already started. What's even funnier is that just like Dixie, Charli also addressed the issue, only that it was more of shifting blame than taking accountability. Well, that's what celebs do. Of all the TikTokers who have talked about that dinner incident, Charli D'Amelio only responded to Trisha and made it look like there was an ongoing feud between them.
I'm just gonna say, Trisha Paytas, like, this is not, sorry, just, you have been completely rude to me multiple times, saying she doesn't have a personality, she can't dance, she's basic. Like, you have your own problems, please stop worrying about mine. And that's all I have to say on that. Quite honestly, I just, like, please stop talking about me. You're not a very nice person. Sorry.
As if that wasn't enough, James Charles also somewhat felt attacked now that he was also at the dinner table. So he posted a video telling Trisha to stay in her lane.
I didn't want to respond to this because I didn't want to give Trisha the attention that she's clearly craving. However, I've never been accused of being a child groomer, and this is not an accusation that I'm going to take lightly. To insinuate that the relationship between Charli and I is anything other than just a friendship is absolutely disgusting.
James went on to say, I became friends with the Damelio family as a whole very, very early on because this was all very new to them, and I wanted to be a friend and a mentor in any way that I possibly could. And Charli and I, despite not being the same age, had one thing in common, which is coming into the spotlight at a very, very young age. Charli even threw in a few jabs telling Trisha Paytas that the only reason she was in the spotlight was because of her controversial past, consisting of saying racist things, using the N-word, offending the trans community, and voting for Trump.
You are in no position to be talking about me and my career, so I highly recommend that you stop starting fights with people that are half your age, pack it up, and work on holding yourself and your best friends around you because they and you are the problem.
It was a whole mess, you guys. Even Dixie, who had backed down, somehow felt re-energized to go at Trisha again. But as always, she messed up again. She uploaded a video dancing to NWA song, saying the N-word, which of course she did to put Trisha on blast after James's video. Dixie was trolled in ways she didn't expect and ended up deleting the video after claiming that she was just trying to make a point and that, in fact, she wasn't trying to promote a racist sound. Well, as you can already guess, Trisha entered the chat one more time.
Dixie was dancing to a song with the N-word not bleeped yesterday. I said the word 10 years ago. How come you and your sister have done multiple dances to the N-word?
Trisha also came with receipts of James Charles himself also using the N-word and even more evidence of Charli and Dixie doing the same. Among the many things Charli, Dixie, and James said when addressing Trisha was that she needed to act her age and stop meddling into kids' affairs, to which Trisha responded by saying, people use me to deflect cause of my reputation of trolling and being canceled. I'm fine with it. I was here before they could walk and I'll be here long after they cancel themselves with a cocky, we're way better than your attitudes. It doesn't get you anywhere. Anyways, guys, that's just an inch of how bad the relationship between the Damelio girls and Trisha has been strained for years, which explains why people really caught on to it quite fast when Charli talked about it during the podcast. During the podcast, Charli talked about the challenges she went through when she got to 1 million followers on TikTok, saying the hate was out of this world. She mentioned how particularly this was so difficult for her because she became famous at a super young age and that it was at that moment that Trisha's name came up. A lot of people said that she was clearly talking about Trisha Paytas here because Trisha literally fits with everything she said, like being grown adults, now with kids. Oh, so apparently Charli D'Amelio has been expecting some sort of apology from Trisha and the other people who came at her. Well, I don't know about y'all, but in some of those situations, she kind of sort of needed to be put in check, like that dinner reaction saga. Wait, now that I think about it, I hope they apologized to that chef. Well, just like in the past, Trisha responded, only that this time her energy had shifted. Trisha didn't go off on Charli D'Amelio for expecting an apology. Shockingly, she actually apologized to Charli, like genuinely. Josh brought up the issue during their podcast, telling Trisha that Charli was definitely talking about her.
Yeah, and she said like when she hit 100 million followers, that was like the darkest days of her life or something.
Yeah.
Like,
Wait, why? Did she explain?
she was just saying.
I saw the clip. I didn't see.
It's just like awkward laughing because
no.
I think she's kind of referencing you.
No!
Like subliminally, she just said like there's a lot of adults who were like really hard on me when I was 16, and now she said now they have kids, and I hope now that they see it. It was
so
a little pointed.
specific.
Trust Trisha to always be honest about her thoughts regardless of the situation. She said she still thinks what she said wasn't that bad because she only addressed the girls' reaction to the food, especially Dixie, but she still offered an apology regardless.
I feel like it wasn't too bad on Charli. I feel like I was more on Dixie with the snail.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I was too bad because I remember being like, well, Charli's a kid. So I so apologize to Charli and Dixie. I feel bad. Oh my gosh, that's so embarrassing. Well, I do have children now and they do change you. So thank you. I'm a changed person.
So many people were still on Trisha's side on this, saying she had nothing to apologize for because she simply said the truth and that she called out the girls' management for putting them in such a position. I cringed so hard watching Charli call Trisha a rude person. Girl, she's not rude, she's right. These kids are so full of themselves, they can't see the truth of the matter. Someone else replied saying, anything that's not praising her or her sister is an attack on their mental health. SMH, people who can't deal with criticism should be very careful of what they post. Trisha has been handling things in a really mature manner this past year, and I'm just really proud of her growth. Speaking of Trisha's growth, that's actually true. Cause had it been 2020, we'd still be knee-deep smack in the middle of a feud between her and Sophia. But Trisha just decided to let it slide. If you have no clue what I'm talking about, Trisha found herself in yet another drama besides this one with the Damelios. It all started when Sophia released an episode of her podcast where she hosted Kalani from Dance Moms, and everyone who ever associated with Dance Moms is so big on mental health, as y'all already know how bad that show broke them. Anyways, as they were discussing mental illness, Sophia said she loved her mental illness, and Kalani was super quick to agree with her.
Yeah, back to our mental illnesses, that's part of it.
I love my mental illness.
Me too, it makes me me. My mental illness literally makes me me. I don't care. I just don't care.
I know, how boring if we didn't have that.
Boy, oh boy, people were not having it. Trisha Paytas was among the people who called out Sophia for saying such a problematic thing.
No hate to those two girls, but for those of us who don't love our mental illness, this one's for you. So I feel like it's great that mental illness is like normalized and talked about, and just like so many more people are coming forward with their mental health struggles. Like that's super, but it can be discouraging when it gets like so glamorized, or it looks like people are functioning so easy and you're not. You're like, okay, well, I have this mental illness, but I can't even get out of bed, and these people are thriving. They look great.
Trisha didn't say anything bad or problematic here. As a matter of fact, her message wasn't even directed to Sophia. Trisha simply affirmed people who were struggling with mental illness, saying that it was okay not to like being in such a state. Well, one person found a problem with Trisha's message, and that's none other than Sophia. So she stitched Trisha's video and called her an electrocuted hair girl.
Okay, no hate to electrocuted hair girl, but I just think it's a little bit damaging to tell people how they should or should not express their own mental illness.
You guys, Trisha is literally in her mature girl era because she actually responded to Sophia in her podcast and even apologized to her if the message came off in the wrong way.
So I really was gonna like apologize and like tell her like it was not, and Sophia, if you're watching this, like clip it, whatever, like it was never about you. I actually like love, adore you. I always talk like positively about you. Like
she said the hair thing really upset her because she has had major struggles with her hair ever since she was young.
Like when I tell you my heart went to my stomach, like I literally felt sick. Like I cried, and I never cry. I think because my hair is a trigger, and this sounds like so stupid. It sounds so dumb. But when I was like a kid, like people made fun of my hair all the time because I just never had like smooth hair.
Literally everyone was on Trisha's side on this, saying that Sophia's meanness was so uncalled for. Well, Sophia eventually responded, but her mean girl energy stinks to the high heavens, you guys.
I would like to apologize to Trisha Paytas. What I said and what I did was a low blow, and I can fully acknowledge that, and I'm sorry. I truly am sorry. For some reason, when I watched it, it was extremely triggering. I don't know exactly why. I will up my therapy sessions to twice a week. But I am sorry.
She went on and on explaining what she meant when she said she loved her mental illness, but please. Sophia ended by saying she was trying to get a hold of Trisha, but she hasn't been successful so far. She's still hopeful that they will get in touch and talk. Many people have told Trisha not to respond to Sophia at all because based on that apology, she wasn't sincere at all, and that she thinks she was only sorry because literally everyone was calling her out. What do you guys think? Anyways, loves, I would love to hear your opinion on this situation down below. Do you think Trisha should have apologized to Charli Damelio? Also, don't forget to click on the tab above for more videos on these celebrities and influencers.